Rode microphones are the official microphones of BeTerrific. Find out more at rodemic.com.
Hi, I'm Michael Artsis. Welcome to the Michael Artsis Show. I am so excited today. First of all, thank you guys all for joining us. Thank you so much. We've got so much going on, and there's so much to talk about. First of all, Martin Brodeur retired from the NHL. I want to talk about that. The best goalie ever. Yes, a Rangers fan is saying the best goaltender to ever play the game retired from the game. I'm excited because the whole crew is here. First of all, Peter Poon is here. He dug his car out, and he got his mirror fixed, and everything is back to normal. I feel great. And Chris Voncino is here, and I'm excited about that. And then we've got a pile of guests. We've got to talk about video games as well because I've got some new discoveries. And the Oculus Rift. What's up with that not working on lots of computers? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot of other stuff. Right now, we have from Arizona, the warm weather. He doesn't deal with the snow anymore, but he used to. Mr. Brett Quintyne. He covers high school and pro football out in Chandler, Arizona, close to Scottsdale, close to Phoenix. He was at press day yesterday. We're going to find out all about that. He also has to talk about some of the top prospects that have come out of Arizona in the high school leagues. He used to be Mr. Baseball. He is now Mr. Pigskin. Brett, how's it going? Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey guys, how are you? It's definitely been a long time since we've connected. You and I, we go way back actually. And I will say that Arizona has been very good to me, but more so it's great to reconnect with you and talk a little sports.
Yes, it absolutely is. And you told me that you work out with Donovan McNabb now.
I do. I have for the last couple of years. He has.
Really? You work out with you don't look, I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but you don't look like a guy who works out with Donovan McNabb.
I'm actually in a lot better shape now than I was 2.5 years ago when I left New York City.
If I make you lift up that shirt right now, we have a six-pack?
We don't have a six-pack, but we have a lot better physique than I did when I was a New Yorker.
I like that. And you know what that is? That's the warm weather and the idea that we got to get healthier in general being in Arizona. That's really cool. What's it like to work out with Donovan McNabb? Because, I'm friends with a bunch of athletes. I've never once worked out with these guys. I can't imagine doing that.
It's intense. He's a good guy. He definitely is a fantastic individual. And the one thing I'll say, athletes, as you know, are very superstitious and very regimented in a lot of the things that they do. And they get into their own world, but in a very social gymnasium, which it is, I'm even going to say a fitness center, which it is. He and a few other NFL guys are very relaxed. They're retired, so they don't have to be in that tip-top shape that they used to, but they still get after it day in and day out because you figure this, the punishment that they put themselves through on a daily basis now, working out by themselves, is nothing compared to when they used to play.
Well, first of all, I want to tell everybody that you can now go to the IRC chat underneath the video player on BeTerrific.com/live. You can also hit us up on Twitter at BeTerrificTV as well as Instagram. And you can send your photos to our hashtag cube here on set. That is, upload them to Instagram and put in the hashtag BeTerrificTVStage, and they will show up on set. But I did want to say that I've heard from a lot of guys that they work out on a daily basis to this day, and they work out hard because if they don't, they get really sore and tight and creaky, and every day they wake up in pain. So I think that that's cool that they're going hard and that they're pushing you and motivating you and that you're working out with them. It must be a lot of fun. Talk about the high school athletes that are coming out of Arizona and what they're like.
I'll say the big advantage, and it's obviously very obvious, the weather. These guys can work out pretty much any sport that they're playing. They can do it year-round. Even when you get into football, and obviously we know all about the hot weather, and let's say basically Memorial Day to Labor Day, the 3 summer months, it is extreme heat, 100 degrees plus easily, some days over 110. What a lot of the high schools do, they simply go up north. And north is only 2 hours from here, and it's a much cooler scenario, similar to an NFL training camp. You're not going to train in the middle of the desert. You're going to go somewhere where it's a little bit cooler. So that's what a lot of the high school football teams, they bring their whole scenario.
Talk about some of these guys that have gone from Arizona that are either in the pros or close to the pros. I know that there are a lot of guys who, right from Chandler, this hotbed.
Sure, we can actually, and we talked about a couple of them beforehand, but here's one that I left out, Terrell Suggs. Obviously, he is a fantastic linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens. You figure he was typical Arizona. He went to high school here, and then he moved on to ASU, and he's been in the NFL for a dozen years. So these guys really, the high school programs here, and I'll say it's shocking when you look at the high schools themselves and their facilities, because they are so much further advanced than the only really high school scenarios I can compare to was New York City. And these are like mini college campuses. You look into their weight rooms and it's like, wow, is this a college or a high school? So they're very well prepared to not only move on to play on Saturdays, but in some cases Sundays. Marcus Wheaton, a perfect example with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Deion Jordan was the third overall pick in the NFL draft a couple of years ago. So you get a lot of guys from the same area who have been able to take a couple of the next steps.
Excellent. Very, very cool stuff. All right, you went to Media Day. I've been to Media Day. I've covered Super Bowls before many times. It is my least favorite event to cover ever. I make no bones about it, although the last one I covered was the one the Giants won against the Patriots. Oh, which one would that be? The last one in Indianapolis. That was not 42-46, I guess it would be. That was a really awesome Super Bowl to cover and a lot of fun, and I did something different there, covering it live for the first time ever to a New York newspaper's homepage. But Media Day, oh my God, it's just a disaster. This was the first one in Indianapolis that they allowed the fans to come in. Now they're charging the fans $28 a person. I thought that was egregious, to come in and watch Media Day, which I still don't understand. But it's just this, basically they put the players on the field, they give 15 minutes or 30 minutes for one team, and then they get them off the field, and they give 15 or 30 minutes for the next team, and you go up to these little podiums, and you can ask them all sorts of questions. You can ask them anything. Nothing is off limits, and a lot of times you get funny pranks and funny people and stunts and all sorts of stuff to get media attention, but mostly it's the same questions over and over again. Was Deflategate, or what I'd like to call Ballgate, the number one topic yesterday, or did we talk about something else like, oh yeah, a football game?
Yeah, Deflategate seems to be a thing of the past. Obviously, it was on people's minds, but it certainly got a lot of coverage from the instant the story broke up until when the two teams arrived, Seahawks getting here on Sunday and the Patriots on Monday. But most of the questions were, as you mentioned, very lighthearted and comical, but at the same time, you got guys got men and women who asked some serious questions. Certainly Pete Carroll is very jovial, but Bill Belichick, much more regimented, much more serious. So a lot more football questions were asked of him. And it was a very expanded media day. You had the Patriots, they came in first from 10:30 to 11:30 it was a solid hour. And then from that point till 12:30, it was kind of weird. The talent at the NFL Network actually was on display, and you got to talk to guys like Michael Irvin, LaDainian Tomlinson, Marshall Faulk, their takes and perspectives of the game, and obviously their, in many instances, Hall of Fame careers. And then at 12:30, the Seahawks came aboard, and you had those 12 guys sitting at the podiums, and the rest of the players, they were very noticeable. They all wore Super Bowl warm-ups, and it was a true zoo as you've seen, imagined, and been a part of.
So what do you think was the most interesting thing we learned from Media Day yesterday? I know Bob Kraft, from the owner of the New England Patriots, addressed he didn't really address Ballgate. He addressed it the night before. He wants an apology from the NFL, but he did address the comments made by Richard Sherman, and he did talk about how smart Richard Sherman is and how much of a hype master he is. And I thought that was interesting. But what was the most interesting thing you found from Media Day?
There were a lot of different angles. Certainly the most covered person was Richard Sherman. You figure between the two teams, you have a lot of stars and coaches, and obviously they're going to get most of the scenario. You figure if everyone's at their podium for an hour, about 50 minutes in, with 10 minutes left, there's a lot more room, a lot more breathing space, but Richard Sherman was booked solid for the full 60 minutes. I mean, he could have stayed there for another hour. So he definitely was the one who I'm going to say was probably the most informative. He took some questions as far as his teammates, the game. Of course, there were a lot of joking questions. One of the questions that I was able to ask him was about his bond with his fellow defensive backs, Earl Thomas and the rest of the crew. And he said that they're very close-knit on and off the field. That's what really makes the Seahawks a family and what's made that defense so strong.
You know what's interesting is that I see just the other day, J.R. Smith said not playing in New York has really helped his career. I kind of see that as maybe it's true, but I also see it as BS, that, it keeps him out of the nightclubs. His team bonds more. They play video games. They focus on basketball with the Cavs. I think that maybe there's some truth to that, and that's why, the New York football teams, I've been around them. They bond a little bit, but not like the teams out in Seattle or New England or other places in other parts of the country, although the defensive and cornerbacks and safeties seem to always be a group, and football is very segregated like that. The offensive linemen hang together. They'll sit in the parking lot after practice, and they will literally tailgate and bring out barbecues. The defensive line hangs together, and then, of course, the secondary is kind of its own unit. And so I definitely believe that, but I see it, and I think it's even more prevalent, especially in Seattle, where these guys don't really have that much to do at night. Not that they couldn't get themselves into trouble. You can get yourself into trouble anywhere, or find something to do, but it seems like football is definitely their focus. Ben Rathig writes in on the chat room, did you speak to Michael Irvin? And that might have been worth the price of admission right there. What was he like? What did he have to say? Did you speak to Irvin?
I didn't speak to Michael Irvin, but he was very, very busy. I mean, that's the one thing that the NFL Network, they made a presence there. They were obviously live on location, really within, I'm going to say, 30 feet of the various podiums. So while a guy like Michael Irvin tried to be cordial to not so much the fans because they were actually seated in the seating bowl of the US Airways Arena, there were a lot of media types who really wanted a little bit of his time, but he was actually rushing from point A to point B and C and then back to A. So he was a very busy guy during Media Day.
Well, he's a character and definitely was during Media Day. His Media Day is a lot like a lot of these guys, specifically Richard Sherman. And, of course, he's somebody who everybody wanted to talk to. One of the viewers writes in that basically that his wife may have deflated the balls because she's been known to do that from time to time. I thought that was pretty funny. I think it's interesting that now it's getting pinned, and I don't really want to follow this controversy. I think we need to hear the facts. I've said this many times, and I do think that this is a regular practice in the NFL, fooling with balls. Yes, I said that. And I realize how weird that sounded. But I know that I've been with kickers who are overinflating balls to get extra distance, and you're talking about all sorts of other things. I don't really believe that it makes that much of a difference, and I also believe that you don't want a deflated ball. It hurts throwing the football. But I like how they now think that they're pinning it on a guy who went into the bathroom, which there are no cameras in the bathroom, so they'll never be able to prove that he did something or didn't do something other than go to the bathroom, as long as he sticks to that story and says, oh, I was just going to the bathroom. But to move on from that, I think you've got a really good Super Bowl here. Do you have a feeling one way or the other? I think that both teams have been here before and know what it's about, so they're not getting distracted. I think this distraction probably doesn't hurt the Patriots at all, to be honest with you. Tom Brady can handle it. Bill Belichick can handle it. I think that realistically we're going to have a colossal matchup, which probably means that it'll be a blowout on one way or the other. If it's going to be a blowout, I would imagine it's going to be a blowout on the Patriots side. However, what I would say is I think we're going to have a colossal matchup, and I think that the Seahawks will figure out defensively how to stop Tom Brady and the Patriots and show us very much what the Giants did. frustrate the Patriots to no end. And if Russell Wilson can put together a drive late like Eli Manning has been able to do, we might see a repeat situation like that. I think if you're a Giants fan, you want the Patriots to annihilate them so that the only black mark on the Patriots is the fact the Giants beat them twice, and that's the only team that beat this Patriots dynasty. So who do you have in the Super Bowl?
I think the Seahawks will be able to get it done. I kind of agree with some of the points that you mentioned. As long as you let this Seahawks team hang around, they're going to be dangerous. Obviously, they were down big in the NFC Championship game and came away overtime winners. As long as the Patriots don't get out to a big lead, a 14-21-0, I think Seattle is going to be able to win this game. I think that, yes, Brady will probably get, a couple hundred yards, and he's a smart guy. As we've said, he's been there before. But this Seahawks defense is very resilient. They bend, but they certainly don't break. They've been around before. They're very young, but they have some serious big game experience. So I think it's the Seahawks that get it done in a close one. And the one good thing with Seattle, they're very versatile. I mean, when we think a lot of points, we certainly would think that, yes, it would favor New England. But the Seahawks know how to mix it up a little bit. Who would have thought that they would have blown out Denver the way they did a year ago? So I got to think that the Seahawks are a little bit more versatile and will adapt to what the Patriots bring to the table.
Well, and certainly they're capable of a blowout. I don't see that happening against the Patriots. What I will say is the Patriots don't have, in my mind, that explosive game that offensively that they've had in the past downfield. There's no, Deion Branch. There's no
Randy Moss.
There's no Randy Moss. That's what I was about to say. And you've got Julian Edelman. You've got some other guys who are capable, and Gronkowski, too, who are very capable. But also, there's nobody that matches up, in my mind, well against Richard Sherman for the deep ball. Plus, Tom Brady would have to be willing to challenge him, which I think if Richard Sherman – I think you got to do early on, because I think – if Richard Sherman's injured, you want to know that, and you also want to challenge that, because I can't see Richard Sherman being half the athlete he is with one arm, and you got to go after that.
Also, going back to yesterday, the Seahawks basically said they are healthy. There's not going to be any arm braces, and you're not going to see any slings. They claim, and I'm going to believe them, that they are 100% healthy. And when I say 100%, about as healthy as you can be.
Why would you choose to believe them? Come on.
I think they really are. I mean, it's one of those things where the Seahawks, they like to play some mind games, but I think in this aspect, I think they're raring to go. They definitely seem.
Nobody in the NFL is honest on their injury report. I'm not. There's no way they're healthy or 100% healthy. Richard Sherman's got to be hurting. They'll get shot up for sure.
I mean,
they'll take vitamin T, Toradol, and they'll be, like hopped up like horses ready for a race, okay? No joke. I've talked to guys, you can take vitamin T, and it's well documented in Michael Strahan's book. You can take a baseball bat and hit them with the baseball bat where they've taken the vitamin T an hour later, and they won't feel it. But it doesn't mean that they can do their job or they have the strength to do their job as well as they did before, and it doesn't mean they're playing 100%. So I would say I don't believe Richard Sherman's going to be 100% no matter what they say, and I don't believe that the whole team is 100%. I think
when I say 100%, I mean about as 100% as you're going to be after a 19-game season playing your 20th game.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, not 100%.
But I still would go after Sherman early. Let him pick one off early.
I really think I'd say this, I was more impressed with Seattle's just demeanor yesterday than I was New England. For whatever that's worth, it seems like they were a lot more relaxed and ready to be here than the Patriots were. Not that the Patriots were by any means timid or upset or didn't want to show up. I just, from a first round, looking at what the two teams looked like yesterday, I gave advantage Seattle.
Advantage Seattle for you. I think it's going to be a good game. I kind of feel like Seattle's going to win it, but I could really go either way. This is a tough one. I think it's going to be a good matchup, like I said. Do you think Brady you agree with what I say? Do you think Brady should test Sherman? I mean, nobody tests him. I kind of feel like it's the Deion Sanders and even the Darrelle Revis. By the way, that's the other corner we haven't talked about on the other side of the ball. I'm pretty sure Russell Wilson's going to stay away from him. But these guys, if they're untested, can you catch them sleeping? And if you do, or do you feel? I always felt like somebody should test Dion. Why are we all afraid of these guys?
I agree. I think Brady should come after Russell Sherman, Richard Sherman early. I mean, you have to know what the defense is like early on. I mean, you really have to go after him. You have to see what's working. Most teams seem like they strip their first 20 plays or so, regardless of what the score is, and I'm fine with that. But I do think that some of those plays should go Richard Sherman's way, and you'll know if he's beatable or not early, or the Patriots should find that out early.
Brett, are you going to the big game?
I will not be. I will
Okay.
not be. I'm going to watch the game in the comfort of my own home and really enjoy Super Sunday. I was at the Pro Bowl on Sunday evening, and that certainly was a lot of fun. And Super Bowl week, as you've experienced, it will take a lot out of you covering various events, Pro Bowl, and obviously with the game being here, the Pro Bowl, as opposed to Hawaii this year, that even added more hoopla to the whole 2 weeks.
Yeah, we were in Miami when they moved the Pro Bowl to Miami for a year as an experiment instead of having it in Hawaii when they first moved it the week before the Super Bowl. I don't know about the Pro Bowl. I mean, I almost like this idea of a punt, pass, kick competition, some kind of skills competition. The game to me never intrigues me. It never means anything. You're never going to get the stars who are playing in the Super Bowl in the Pro Bowl, so they could put it the week before, which I think was a good move. But now they take it out of Hawaii, which means fans can actually go watch it, which is kind of cool. But there was something weird about having it, at least in Miami, the week before the Super Bowl. I didn't really dig that vibe. I've covered a lot of Super Bowls, and I also like the idea of kind of having it in Hawaii, although I've never covered a Pro Bowl in Hawaii. So I don't know. I don't know about fooling with the goalposts unless that's something they're testing to see if that's something we could see in the future, which I wouldn't necessarily mind because I think there are too many chip shots and too many, all right, he's going to get it. Let's turn off the TV right now. And I also think the teams don't go for it enough. But we saw some amazing football, the last few weeks of the season, especially in that NFC Championship game, whereas Ben Rathig says – that the Packers choked. I don't know the Packers choked so much as they just took their foot off the gas and kind of acted like they had it in the bag and relaxed a little bit. I don't know if that was – I guess that's the definition of choking, but I don't know that they choked. I think that the Seahawks just never gave up, and I think that was a really compelling and awesome story. And I think that that's where the Seahawks can really thrive here is that they have that never give up attitude and that can-do attitude. Are they finally moving the Pro Bowl to where the Super Bowl is every year? Have they made that announcement?
No, I think it's still in its, obviously in its initial phases. I think they really only do it in 2, maybe 3 cities. Obviously, the first one, as you mentioned, Miami, because it's a guaranteed warm weather scenario, beautiful outdoor locale, much like here in Arizona. Otherwise, it's still going to be in Hawaii. I think the only other city that they might consider it is Tampa. But for the most part, it's still a Hawaii-based game. I do like when it is stateside because a lot more, ex-NFL players can be a part of it. And it really becomes not so much necessarily a party, but more former players can get involved in one way or the other, whether it is smaller flag football tournaments that get held actually in the NFL experience yesterday or around town. So I think the NFL really is looking at the idea of if they can to have it in obviously Hawaii's part of the U.S., but in the same scenario as the Super Bowl because you can get a lot more people involved.
I like that Ben wrote in the chat room that he wanted to know why the Jets got rid of Revis, and I just wrote because they're the Jets. I mean, there's no other explanation. You could just say because they're the Jets, because they're the Jets, because they're the Jets. And you could understand their reasoning at the time, but not really. I think they tired of his act of pay me every year and let's renegotiate every year. And I like his comment, of course. Ben says they should call the Pro Bowl the Pointless Bowl. Although you bring up some good points of having the Pro Bowl for the fans with the NFL experience and the flag football game and all that stuff. That's all pretty cool. And the NFL experience and the flag football game and that stuff is a lot of fun. To me, the Super Bowl itself, it's just too crowded. It's too much mass hysteria. It's too long, the whole hype for the week. And you've got the focus is not on football. It becomes not on football. And the other thing is when you go to the game as a fan, I don't enjoy it because the reality is that there aren't very many fans from each team there. It's mostly corporate seats, and then nobody's really rooting for either team, so it's a very quiet game.
It is. It definitely, and that's another reason why I'm happy to watch it really here at the house, because yes, the league obviously gives a certain amount of tickets to corporate folks, and when I say it's a tough ticket, if you can be a diehard Patriot fan, but it is tough to get out to. It doesn't matter if it's here, New Orleans, California, wherever it is. You're looking at a lengthy, high-ticketed flight. You're looking for accommodations for 3 or 4 days, obviously tickets to the game. So regardless of who you're a fan of, it is indeed tough for you to make the Super Bowl if you're a fan of a given team, wherever the game may be.
Absolutely. How can people find your content, what you write, what you do video-wise? How can they find what you're doing?
Sure. There's BrettQuintyne.com, which is one of my main websites. There's also AIA365.com, which contains a lot of my high school work as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm going to float an idea before you go. I'd love our viewers and your fans to tell us what they think of this. You can hit us at connect@BeTerrific.com. So that's our email. You can also go to Twitter @BeTerrificTV, on Instagram as well. You can go right into the IRC chat on the bottom of our video player on BeTerrific.com/live. We're all over the place. We're paying attention wherever. But I have this idea of having a viewing party for the NFL, for the Super Bowl, and for games where literally we sit around, one expert, a couple of guys, and instead of doing play-by-play, we just break down what's going on. We have a conversation. Maybe we got a chat room open. We answer your questions. We talk about what's going on, but it's really a much more casual environment. I don't know if we could throw it together before this Sunday, but I'd love to know if you'd like that in the future, whether it be this Sunday and maybe we can throw it together, or in the future. I think it'd be a lot of fun where we do a live stream just talking about what's going on and that stuff. So if you guys would like that, please let us know. Connect at BeTerrific.com, on Twitter or Instagram at BeTerrificTV. And, of course, you can go to the IRC chat underneath our video player on BeTerrific.com/live. There are plenty of other ways to reach us. Brett Quintyne, thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoy watching the game. I'm glad you enjoyed covering the festivities this week, and I look forward to getting a high school report from you in the fall with all these guys. And also, the man who is the spotter for Donovan McNabb, I want a full report on how hard this guy and the other athletes with him are working out. And I want to see some of that. Let me see some of that when you come on again next time. We're going to measure that. We need a body mass index. Look at that. You are getting jacked up, Brett.
I'm trying.
Wow. What is your routine real quick before I let you go?
Sure. Mondays, I take an insanity class. Tuesday, I do a core class. Wednesday is a general workout, usually with Donovan. Thursday, I hit the rowing machine, and Friday is free weights.
That's pretty amazing. That's like you're in there every single day. And then the rowing machine, by the way, people don't realize, is a real complete workout. I think it's having a resurgence in part because of House of Cards. I've used this thing. It's phenomenal, and I want to row every day. I'm serious. This is like the most complete workout in 30 minutes. It works your arms, your legs, and your midsection all at the same time. Am I making this up?
No, you're spot on. You are spot on. I try to get after it with 2,500 to 3,000 meters each Thursday, which means I'll be hitting that tomorrow.
3,000 meters, did you say?
Yep.
That's like 4 or 5 miles, is it not? Maybe no, that's like 9 miles. No, it's about 3 or 4 miles.
Yeah, it's not a crazy thing, but if you do it regularly, it's one of those things where you don't have to lift a lot of weight, but if you lift smaller weights consistently and build it up, you'll be all right. Repetition and regularity is the key.
I can't imagine 4 or 5 miles on that thing. That's insane. But I do like the rowing, and I think it is a complete workout. I got to get on the rowing machine. Do you use the water one or you use the one with the fan? The one from the fan is probably from a company called Concept, And the rowing one, I don't have the name of the company in my mind, but there are about 2 of these companies that make them now that are like the big deal ones, and they make them with all sorts of devices that can read what you're doing and all sorts of stuff. There's a place called Orange Fitness that works on circuit training and incorporates this into it.
Orange
There are
Fitness is
rowing
fantastic,
gyms.
yeah.
There are rowing gyms that are opening up, including in Austin, Texas, that are just like spin Soul Cycle spinning for rowing. So are you using the water one or the fan?
No, it's the regular one with the fan.
And
but
that's
I
Concept?
have stepped into Orange Theory that you mentioned a couple of times, and that's rather intense.
Yes, absolutely. And you're using, is it the Concept machine?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, that's
Yeah.
Brett Quintyne, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us, Brett. You're awesome as always. We look forward to having you on more. Enjoy that warm weather. We miss you here in New York. You used to work at MLB with me, but listen, you know what? You're in better weather now, and so that's great. A great way of life. My nephews live in Arizona, and they enjoy it very much. I've got to go visit more. I'll come say hello to you when I do.
You come visit, and we'll go out, and I'll show you the sights and sounds of AZ.
Sounds good. That's Brett Quintyne, everybody. Thank you, Brett. All right, we got to talk about so much stuff. First of all, video games. Wow. This weekend I played Sony PlayStation 4, PS4, for the first time. I know, it's taken me a while. But I got to tell you, since I last checked in with real video games like this, I've been playing a lot of games on my phone. I'm totally addicted to Contract Killer. I'm like this great sniper that, no, I'm not that great. I hate that video games charge you, especially on your phone, to get different levels. And like, you know, you play around and then you got to buy the next level of the gun. And if you don't have enough money, you have to pay for that, like with real money. And to accelerate the game, you got to pay with real money. I don't like doing that. I hate that part. But I like what these games are doing, and there are stories behind all the games. So this one game I played, it was unbelievable. Have you guys played these games lately? It's a whole story. It's like watching the opening scene of a movie, then being in the second scene, then the third scene they walk you through, then the fourth scene you play. It's unbelievable. It's like taking comic books, movies, and video games and going unreal. You guys know what I'm talking about? This is insane what's going on. We're going to have to talk to Peter Poon about this and Adam Holtz, because Adam, by the way, has an Oculus Rift with all sorts of problems. He's looking at buying a new PC just to get the Oculus Rift working. I don't even understand this. Doesn't this thing supposed to work with everything? Then it doesn't like USB 3. All these problems. The Oculus Rift is this VR thing that you put on your head, yet he can't use it with the NVIDIA video cards. He can't use it with this driver or that driver. Logitech screws the whole thing up. Why do we accept tech that isn't ready yet? I just don't understand that. There was a whole article on that on Engadget the other day. I meant to bring it in. We're going to take a quick break. We've got Planet 5D coming up next, and we're going to get to all this stuff too. And I don't know if you saw in the wide shot, you will eventually, I'm wearing my least favorite shoes ever, which are boots. I can't wait to get these things off. We got to shovel all this snow away so I don't ruin a good pair of shoes or sneakers, because I got to get my feet out of these boots. All right, we'll be back right after this.
At BeTerrific, we do a lot of events and bring you a lot of great coverage. But we need to spread the word about BeTerrific, and you guys do a great job of doing that for us. We really appreciate that. But to do it fully, we need branding. And when we do these events, we need to be able to set up quickly and easily and have a home base, to be able to create a set, protect our gear, and shield our talent from lights of the event we're in, so we can add our own lighting and hang our cameras. We've teamed up with EasyUp to do that for Comic-Con and going forward. They gave us a great shelter that takes no time to set up and also is toolless. It's phenomenal and it's reasonably priced. So whether you have a production company, a media house, or you want to just sell some products at an event, what you need is an EasyUp top. An EasyUp top is phenomenal. You can do all sorts of branding. You can add side rails like we have. You can add a back wall like we have. And you'll get aerial branding, on the ground branding, and a place to put all your stuff, protect your team, and call home. It's perfect. What you want to do is go to easyup.com. That's easyup.com. Talk to Wayne Dove. He's a sales guy there. He's amazing. He's become a good friend, and he took good care of us. He's the one who got us our tent. They've got great people there, they've got a great team, and they've got a great, rich, storied history. There's no better shelter, there's no faster shelter than EasyUp. It sets up in minutes, it's fire tested and fire rated, and it's fire retardant. They're really, really structurally sound, and they look beautiful. How could you beat that? Oh yeah, I forgot. They're reasonably priced. So that's the kicker. Go to easyup.com. Tell Wayne that BeTerrific sent you. They'll take good care of you, don't worry, and have your company represented well at your next event. And it only takes minutes to set up and break down and then set up again. Look how amazing it looks. I am so excited about this. Thank you, Easy Up.
Introducing a portable, solar-powered charging solution that moves at the speed of life. Family vacations, long road trips, in the airport, around campus, on the trail, the lake, or the links. The DuoFlex puts the power of the sun in the palm of your hand. With a removable battery pack, dual configuration, and a weather-resistant, rugged design, the DuoFlex fits every lifestyle and every activity. Freedom to live, to move, to play, to be fully charged.
Rode microphones are the official microphones of BeTerrific. Find out more at rodemic.com.
Welcome back to the Michael Artsis Show. We're going to have Planet Mitch from Planet 5D on in just a few minutes. I had to come back from commercial. I see the chat rooms blowing up. I'm so excited. First of all, I got to give a shout out to Ben and Digital Phil and Paul Dixon and Jenny and C. Jenks and all you guys. But what? Digital Phil, you ditched your Nexus 5, hopefully to buy a Nexus 6. How are you going phoneless? I couldn't live a minute without my phone, and you're going phoneless? Somebody said it's because you have tablets. Is that the truth? Because I could maybe imagine that. I love the idea. I romanticize about the idea of going back to an old school cell phone. But the reality is there's no way I could do it. I'd be lost without this thing. In fact, when my iPhone 5S started getting a little crazy, the battery life got insanely short, and I'm running around finding plugs all over the place and, carrying 8 battery bricks, I had to get a new phone. I can't live without this thing. It's how I do business. It's how I work. I'm tied to it, and I love the FaceTime, especially with my son Jack. I mean, how can you go without a phone, especially now when they're going to make a watch, the iWatch, right? For the iPhone, I mean, that doesn't help you with the Nexus, but there are plenty of wearables there. I've been wearing this Martian Notifier, and I kind of really like it. But the 24-karat gold iPhone, that's going to be like $5,000, the iWatch. Forget that. You just need a regular one. Hey, by the way, you guys are talking a lot of video games here. Sounds like that you guys are super into these games. I'm not up with all these. I got to get up with all these, but it sounds like a lot of fun. I love that you guys are playing so many video games. I'll tell you, it was a lot of fun to play these games the other night. And so, anyway, it was a lot of fun to play all these games the other night. I want to get more into that. I'll take recommendations on games. I'd love to talk more gaming. And then Ben says he loves wearing steel-toe boots. I don't know. I understand that a lot of guys love it, but I do not get how guys wear these steel-toe boots. My feet sweat like crazy in these regular boots. I'm on fire. My whole body then becomes on fire, and they're so uncomfortable. They hurt my feet. Then my hip starts to hurt. It screws my gait up. I don't know how people do it with boots. I don't know how they do it. I got to be in shoes, and even that's uncomfortable. And then in shoes, in sneakers, I love to wear the sneakers. Obviously, we've been over this. But anyway, I think we've got Planet Mitch almost ready, by the way. But I just wanted to tell you guys about I saw you guys going nuts about the boots and about the phone. Pete has a Nexus 5, I believe. I like the Nexus 5, but I'm an iPhone guy. I sometimes think maybe I should get a Nexus 6 now just to play with it and be more familiar with Android to be able to talk to you. Paul Dixon has a Pebble Steel. You like that, Paul Dixon? I had a Pebble, and I returned it because it stopped working, and I got frustrated with it. It literally just died on me, and they were like, you want another one? And I was like, do you have another one in stock? And they go, no, because I bought it at Best Buy because I don't do Kickstarters. I want to make sure you get to market. And so I returned it to Best Buy, and then they didn't have another one in stock, and I just said, give me a credit, and they gave me a credit, and then I never went back and got another Pebble. But I'm loving this Martian Notifier. It gives me just enough information. I am kind of curious about that Fitbit Surge so I can get my heart rate, but I do like this Up 24 from Jawbone. And I would probably really like the Apple Watch, the iWatch. So we'll see. But I do like this Martian notifier a lot so far. It's working good. All right. I think we've got Planet Mitch on the line. Planet Mitch from Planet 5D. That is the planet he's from. So much to get to. Last we spoke to you, Planet Mitch, you were at the Rode microphone event. Rode had a lot of big announcements, including a wireless microphone system that is very reasonably priced. Welcome to the program. It's great to see you. I love you, Mitch.
Hooray! I'm here. I'm
Yes.
actually here.
Yes, you are here. And Mitch, your internet connection, from what I hear, I haven't seen it yet because I can see it only out of the corner of my eye until we go full screen. But it seems like you finally got it working correctly. That's because you're back in the studio. What you call the planetarium? No, this
What
is
I call yes.
This is not the planetarium. The planetarium's in the basement.
No.
No, this is the planetarium.
This is the planetarium. This is my office upstairs, and the observatory is downstairs, which is new.
Right.
You see,
This is
was
why.
old.
This is why it makes no
confusing.
sense, because your observatory is in the basement. I got it now. You
Yes.
are using the Rode mic there. A Rode mic there, and you've got a dog wrapped around it. We're going to get to that in a minute. And you've got Alf in the background. How could you not love this guy? I mean, first of all, the best, biggest, and baddest DSLR blog in the world. The greatest information. And then he's got, obviously, the Rode mics, and he's got the dog there, and he's a great guy. And beyond that, he's got Alf in the background.
Well, there you go. There's the full screen. Yeah, I try to keep a little bit of entertainment. I know, sort of like you do with the little fuzzy dolls. I've forgotten what, not troll dolls, but whatever. This is Astro, by the way, obviously named Astro after the Jetsons, because everything I talk about is about space, just for fun, right?
How did you get into the space thing?
Actually, I was an amateur astronomer when I was in high school. I have a telescope, which is still down in the observatory. I haven't yet set it up to put it on camera because it's a big honking telescope. But I used to go out in the backyard in Florida and spend time staring at the stars. And long story short, when I was looking for a unique nickname to make my mark in the world of the internet, decades later, of course, I saw somebody who called themselves Planet Tim, and I found out that planetmitch.com was available. So I bought it, and I've become Planet Mitch ever since.
Amazing. Very, very awesome.
just-
I like how you tried to sell it like you still are in the same house you're in, and then mentioned Florida when we know you live in St. Louis or in the Missouri,
Right.
in the St. Louis area in Missouri, because you were like, yeah, I still have it in the basement. I still have it in the basement I grew up in. No, it's in your
No.
observatory now. But it's the same telescope. I get it. Mitch, just real quick, we're all talking phones here. I've got the iPhone 6 Plus. I think you have that as well. I know you've talked about switching to Android from time to time, but what do you think of it? And we're all talking phones, and I don't know how Digital Phil is going to get rid of his phone, although he says he would like the iPhone 6, and he's got 12-inch tablets to replace it. So it's not the end of the world. But what are you rocking, and how do you like it?
I am rocking the iPhone 6 Plus, the big monster. I love it. I have virtually replaced my iPad because I never use it anymore. I just use my iPhone. I'm able to see. I've gotten a little older as time went on, and my eyes don't see so well. So I really like the big tablet feel, or the phablet feel of the iPhone 6 Plus.
Well,
really.
I will tell you, I've ditched my iPad too. I actually just offered it to my wife the other day. I have an iPad and an iPad mini, and I was like, hey, you want either of these? Because other than shooting video with them and playing around and playing with apps, the iPhone 6 Plus, you mentioned it. You told me about it, that it was great size for reading. It is so much better. That's my tablet, so to speak. And it's made me realize I really don't even like tablets. I like them maybe for consuming content, but that's it. So I can watch videos on a plane. And what I've switched to is an 11-inch MacBook Air. It's so much easier to type, to do all sorts of things, especially now I'm doing all these proposals and all this stuff and all this business, and I can just make attachments so much easier and all this stuff. I don't have to worry about it. It's got great battery life, so I can watch my movies on the plane on this, and I don't have to worry about, like, oh, is that weird case going to hold it up or whatever. And it's a little bit bigger screen for my eyes, and I like the phone, and it's that combination that I find is working great. And I'm like, hey, keep your tablet. I like tablets. I like my iPad, but I haven't used it in months at this point already, and so I kind of got to agree with that.
Yeah. I tried to actually take my iPad on the plane the other day, and I have used it so little that I think it's kind of like dying. It doesn't quite work right anymore, and it's an iPad 2. So
Well, you gotta be
I'm
like
really
me. You
back
gotta
in the
have
dinosaur days.
the latest technology. Absolutely. That will
Well,
help it from dying, because I actually killed this stuff really early. Like Peter Poon, his computer just died. We kill computers. He's had it 2 years. We kill computers like that here. I mean, we treat them really nice. We pet them. We shine them up. We use whoosh on the screens. I have the whoosh right here. See, and literally we killed them within 2 years. This thing will be so I have a 13-inch MacBook Air as well. It's 2 years. It's 20 months old. I got it a month before Jack was born, because I had another one that died, and it was still under AppleCare, so they gave me a new one. It is the i7 latest, blah, 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 blah. It's ready to die. The fan kicks in the second I start it and doesn't stop till the second I turn it off. It's ready to die. And I gave it to Pete to use for CES, and then I gave him to use, now his computer's not working. So we kill computers. All right, let's move on, Mitch. Let's talk about Rode, first of all. How cool was that wireless mic? I got to get my hands on one of those.
I really wish I knew, to be honest with you, because they didn't even have a prototype there.
Wow. When is it going to be available?
It's supposed to be available the beginning or mid-March sometime.
Do we know if it's,
so it's going to be fairly quick.
Do we know if it's UHF or VHF?
It's 2.4 gigahertz. So I don't know which band that is. That UHF or... No, that's not UHF.
I think it's neither band. I think it's 2.4 gigahertz. I think that they're trading that. I think, maybe some of the guys in either the GeekBeat chat room, IRC chat, or our IRC chat can tell us. They might have a little bit more information than us on that, because I don't. I mean, that's a little over my pay grade now.
Right.
Certainly. I mean,
but
I know
that
this,
was one of the things that was a big deal to them, is the fact that it is on the 2.4 gigahertz
less interference
network, as opposed to the older style. The Sennheisers and the other models tend to be on different networks.
Well, that's why I tend to believe it's not UHF or VHF, but it could be susceptible to interference from Wi-Fi, I would imagine, because that's the 2.4 gigahertz that's really crowded, and also you can't, from what I understand, you can't lock it down like you can lock down 5 gigahertz. But in a wireless mic, it might all be different and should be good. Our cordless phones at 2.4 work great. Right, and
I'm going to interrupt you there, which is really hard to do, Michael. You know that.
I'm not letting you interrupt me.
One of the things that they really talked a lot about at the Rode conference was the fact that they have 2 bands actually active that are not the one that it's currently broadcasting on, just in case it needs to immediately switch to a better band. So there are always like 3 bands active, and it's constantly monitoring and flipping so that there isn't that interference.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to get this. Is there a price on it?
Yeah, it's $399 for the filmmaker kit.
No, come on. The Sennheiser kit's $800 now.
Yeah, and it comes with the Rode Lav mic, which is $249 retail.
Oh my! This is why Rode is so great, because they make great quality products at reasonable prices. Seriously, Mitch, I mean, that's ridiculous. And audio is such an important part of filmmaking and of what we do. And I talk about it all the time. And when I do in-store appearances at Adorama or I do seminars, people always think of audio last. Then they are like, "Oh, I gotta get wireless mics. I gotta have 8 of them because I have 8 people." And then, that's $800 each. And they're like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna have one mic and hold it up for 8 people. This is mind-numbing and amazing. That is great. That's really, really great.
And the second part of that is that they're also having multiple kits that are specifically designed for people who work on the stage. You're out there on the stage and maybe you're using a mic or a different kind of mic than the filmmaker's kit. And so it's just, I forgot what the other one is. There's like a news media one, and there's like 4 kits. So it comes in different models, and each one will work with the other. So the third thing about it that's supposed to be really cool is it's just like turn it on and it works. You don't have to do any configuration. It just knows what it's doing, and it talks to the receiver and the sender, and it's just, I can't wait to try one out.
I can't either. We're both going to have to review them and check them out. That's going to be amazing. And then they released new shotgun mics for their RT line, or the NTG line rather, which seem exciting as well. Yeah,
the thing about it, to be honest with you, is that they've been thinking about it. Now, wireless kits have been available for a long time, right? Sennheiser, blah blah blah. Everybody has one. Peter, who's the CEO, Peter Feldman. That's not the right last name. Peter is his first name. Anyway, he said, we've been thinking about wireless for 15 years, but we just didn't know how to do it correctly until recently. And so they think about these things. They don't rush things to market. The NTG4, which now fits in between the NTG2 and the NTG3, which kind of messes up their numbering scheme, I guess, because the NTG3 is still the top of the line model. But it has so many cool little features, like the fact that when you press the buttons and turn the mic off, then when you turn it on, it remembers what the last settings were. So there are multiple settings. You don't have to go, oh, what did I have that set to last time? And the Plus version is the very first major mic that has a battery in it, which lasts for 150 hours, and it recharges in 2.
Wow.
So I don't know how you can go wrong on set. I mean, I'm constantly fooling with batteries, and you go, oh crap, this thing's dead, or you're constantly bringing a brand new battery, so you can always start every day with a brand new battery.
Well, we use the
150 hours, it's a monster.
Yeah, we use the Energizer lithiums here, and they cost a fortune. It's like $20 for an 8-pack, and we go through them like crazy. They last about a day each, for each set. But yeah, I mean, this is great. I think that what's really awesome is that they make everything simple. The wireless microphone is going to be really simple and easy to use, because I can't tell you how many people I've had to teach over and over and over again how to use a Sennheiser wireless kit. It's just too complicated to be able to go on set or to run and gun and to be like bang, bang, bang. And the same thing with the microphone, teaching people how to point it and shoot it and use it and get the settings right. So I think that that's awesome. I really like that. And I love Rode. Rode's the official microphone of BeTerrific. So I have to say that and let everybody know that and have it as a disclaimer. But the reason they are is because we love Rode, and they have great quality microphones, and audio is so important to us. So I am excited for this and can't wait.
They are a sponsor of mine as well. However, I just this past Sunday did a Simple Sunday survey that I do on Planet 5D and asked the readers of Planet 5D what is the microphones that they're using. And I gave them multiple choice, so the numbers don't always
Mitch,
add up to 100.
I saw that, and I thought about answering, and I said, no, I mean, that's not right if I answer it. But okay.
Well, but 78%... Well, all right, because it's not adding up to 100% because they had multiple answers. But the vast majority of people had Rode mics. The second answer most popular was Sennheiser.
Right.
And then everything else was way below that. No. So it's not the fact that we're sponsored or talking about them and getting gear from them, but that's what the market is buying.
No, they make very quality microphones, very good microphones. There are a lot of other brands that make good quality microphones, but what they give you is a great value proposition. They make great quality microphones at reasonable prices, and that's why they exploded with the DSLR filmmakers, because it was reasonable. It worked well with the DSLR stuff. It's very durable, and it's very versatile. It's very flexible to different environments, different setups. You can use them with iPhones and mobile devices. You can use them with DSLRs. And, of course, you can use them with regular traditional setups. And they sound really, really good. They sound like microphones that are much more expensive. They're durable, they're good quality, and they're very reasonable. So I can't say enough good things about them. I love the fact they came out with a ribbon microphone for vocals, because nothing sounds better or truer than a ribbon microphone. I mean, I've got cufflinks of the RCA 77. I had them made. They were given out to my groomsmen for my wedding. I love that microphone, and the warmth from that microphone is amazing. So now recording artists can have a great ribbon microphone in the studio again, and that's thanks to Rode. We also have the Classic here, which I keep meaning to put out on the desk and use, but I mean, their stuff is just phenomenal. All right, let's talk about Canon, Mitch, and the DSLR world in general. Canon has got a big announcement Friday. Is this true? This is what we're hearing, and I've not only heard that on Planet 5D, but I've heard chirpings around the world. Is this a 4K DSLR?
Number one, it's not this Friday, but it's next Friday, the 6th of February. I don't know for a fact. Of course, this is still rumors, and I can tell you that I'm not under NDA because I'm not. So I don't have any behind-the-scenes information on this camera, if there is indeed a camera that's coming out. My good friend over at Canon Rumors, Craig, whom I think I've introduced you to at NAB. If I haven't, well, he's not going to be there this year, so never mind. But rumors are this is going to be like a 51 to 53 megapixel kind of DSLR coming out, as well as a new Canon T6i, which I don't know why the hell they're even bothering, because the T3i still sells a hell of a lot more than any of the other cameras. The T4i and T5i relatively suck in terms of the market compared to the T3. So I don't know why they're even bothering with a 6, but we'll have to see what's in there. They're also rumored to be having an M3 come out, so they're still working on their mirrorless line.
Oh, I love I love the M3. Oh, you don't mean the BMW M3. Oh.
No. Sorry, Michael, not a car.
I always wanted an M3.
known.
Now it's the M4, and so I'll never have my chance. But I guess I'll have an M4. But okay, so they're going to come out with another mirrorless camera. That'll be interesting. I wonder, would Canon do something crazy, like maybe make a 4K mirrorless camera to compete with, say, the A7S or...
No, you're talking about Canon here, Michael.
I'm just
this is
throwing
Canon.
it out there. I was going to answer the question and say no, but you didn't let me finish. There you go.
What?
Mitch got
What?
me. He
I
interrupted me.
interrupted
He
you?
did it. Where's your bell? Ding, ding, ding. Come
Ding,
on.
ding.
Oh, very nice.
I do believe that one of these cameras will be 4K. They have to. They got to come out with a 4K, or else they're really going to lose the market.
What do you think the
but
price
it's
point
not
on
going to
that
be a
is?
cheap one. It's going to be expensive.
Yeah, so what do you think? You think it's going to be like a $10,000, $8,999? What do you think? $10,000? That's what we're talking?
I think they're actually going to come down around $5,000 with a 4K, but it's
No
not going to be
way.
anywhere
That's
close.
a 5D Mark III almost, a Mark V almost, 4, whatever number we're at.
Yeah, well, the 5D Mark III is down at $3,000 now. You can
Right,
get it
so
for about $3,000. So
$2,000 more for 4K?
$5,000 to be about right.
Why do we keep talking about 4K? Why do we keep romanticizing about it?
I don't know. It depends upon who you are, Michael. I just had a very good article by one of my writers, Karen, who's down in Australia, and she has started shooting with the GH4 and absolutely loves it. And she's shooting in 4K because she likes to be able to shoot once and then do all the crops and the reframes and stuff like that. And there are purists, of course, who say, like Michael. Michael's a purist. You know that guy, Michael Artsis? He's a purist in many things. He hates autofocus, for example.
I was
Whereas
going to
love
say
it.
I hate cropping. I hate cropping like that because it degrades the quality. And you know what? Shoot it right. I mean, I'll tell you when cropping works. I'm going to tell you one thing. I'll tell you a story. When I started my career, I had a Sony PD-150, and I get a call. I'm at dinner with this young lady, and I get a call from the newsroom, and they say, hey, there's a hostage situation out at Staples out on the tail end of Long Island. And I say, hey, here's money for the check. I got to go. Boom, hop in the car, race to the scene. I get out of the car. I'm so excited. I put it on the sticks, and I sit there, and I sit there, and I sit there, and I sit there. And about 6 o'clock in the morning, about 8 hours after I arrived, the SWAT team went in and pulled the suspects out, and I was able to get it when the other news channels couldn't with their huge ENG rigs, because I had something called digital zoom on my Sony PD-150, and I turned it on, and I got in close. And yes, it was a little grainy, and it was a little pixelated, and it didn't look perfect, and especially at night, the gain was way up. But you know what? I got the shot, and that's what cropping or digital zoom is perfect for, when you absolutely positively must and there's no other way. And I wound up being able to sell my footage to all these other news outlets that couldn't get it. But you don't want to use that on a regular basis. Now, of course, you're talking about cropping from 4K to 1080. You can do it, but still, I say if you can, shoot it perfectly and don't worry about cropping. That would be my preference. And yes, I'm a traditionalist that way. I don't believe in, I believe in lighting something right instead of spending hours in post-production. I believe in doing your audio correctly instead of having somebody come in here and voice track if you can avoid it. I believe in doing things the right way on set. Then you can do whatever you want. You've got all the latitude in the world.
Yep, absolutely true. And the same thing is true with lenses. I mean, you use different lenses, right, for different purposes when you're making a shot. And if you're simply cropping something out from lens, one lens, and I mean, you're just losing the impact and the depth of field and all that other.
Do you think there's any chance Ben Wraithing could be right in the chat room that he's hoping for a Canon full frame to compete with the A7S mirrorless full frame, and if Canon doesn't take mirrorless seriously, they will be dead in a decade?
I find it hard to believe that Canon could be dead in a decade. However, many people said that about Microsoft too, right? And look where they are right now.
Well, and a lot of companies before them, and Sony almost bit it, right? They've been able to pull away with the FS7 and the A7S and really turn it around. And I was down on Sony for a long time. So it is possible. I mean, Panasonic is hurting big time, and they seem to not be able to get it at all. Even with the GH4, they don't seem to be able to get it. And it's not even a pro camera. It's a consumer camera, even with that silly thing you put on the bottom that you can come out with the breakout box.
The YAG?
The YAG, yeah. I call it the yacht.
The one thing that you got to remember with Canon, however, Michael, and I'm sorry I'm interrupting you. I know I am, but
you're all good.
Canon is not in business to sell cameras. They're in business to sell lenses. And the cameras are just there to facilitate that. And people are still buying the 5D Mark III in droves. The GH4 is there, the Sony A7S is there, but Canon cameras are still selling more than anybody else, and they believe that the market is still sort of not there for the 4K. So although I think they'll put it in simply to satisfy and to appeal to that segment of the market, like you and I have talked about, the vast majority of people are not shooting 4K, don't want to shoot 4K, and so they're okay with not delivering 4K, I believe, but at least one camera will come out probably in the 5K range that will shoot 4K just to make it a lower priced thing on the market.
Well, they got to at least replace the 1DC at this point. I think it's a little long in the tooth and it's shooting motion JPEG, and I would think they'd want to at least get with that. But, and they got to be careful about not cannibalizing their camera lines. Now, there's one thing I want to say before I ask you this question, and that is, and I want a quick answer to this, do you believe in the idea that Japan as a country gets together with these camera companies and says, you make this? Because there's this big rumor going around, I've heard it a lot, that basically Japan tells the companies what they're going to do and how they're going to do it and when they're going to do it, and that way it's almost like socialism, because it's kind of like they're doling out a little bit to each and keeping everybody at peace, so there isn't this huge camera war, and you make trade-offs with each brand.
I don't have an idea whether the country of Japan itself is like that. I do know Canon is like that. They're very much driven by the headquarters in Japan. The people in New York don't have much say in any way, shape, or form.
You've heard this rumor, though, right? What I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, do you think that the Canon is going to come out with an affordable camera that, and when I say affordable, like in the $5,000 to $7,000 range, that's going to shoot 4K, that's not going to have crazy limitations? I'm talking like, are we going to be able to shoot more than 20 minutes or even 12 minutes in a clip in 4K? Is it going to be able to record? You know what they don't have, other than the 1DC? They don't have a camera that shoots 4K internally. The C500 doesn't even shoot 4K internally. Could we see something like that, at this announcement? I mean, I just, are they going to come out with a camera that can record 4K internally? Are they going to stop with the limitations? What do you think?
Well, number one, the limitations are all about taxation. As much as people talked for years about the fact that the file sizes are only 4 gigabytes, blah, 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 that had nothing to do with it. It's all about taxes in Europe.
You're right.
And so the taxation issue is any camera that shoots more than 30 minutes is a video camera, and therefore it's taxed as a video camera, and it costs 30% more in Europe. That's just the way it is. So nothing will be like that. The GH4 doesn't shoot more than 30 minutes. Nothing shoots more than 30 minutes unless you go external. If it's an internal recorder, you're stuck. But you got to realize, people don't realize that Canon is like an oil tanker. You know how long it takes to turn an oil tanker out on the high seas?
That's a great explanation.
7 miles.
7 miles.
Canon
Canon
is like an oil tanker. You cannot move that thing quickly. Panasonic is much more flexible because they're a smaller company. Sony, at least in the camera division, is a smaller division, so they can move a little bit more nimbly. Canon is just this massive oil tanker, and it takes forever to move it.
All right, Mitch, I love that stuff. I think you gave us great information and insight. Is there anything else we need to be looking at on the DSLR landscape? Anything else we need to know this week? I think that, we'll have you on, of course, next week. But I think that, realistically, if you're buying a DSLR, you need to wait for the Canon announcement.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't buy anything now, and I probably wouldn't buy anything before NAB because those good old folks at Black Magic and
that's not
all
going
these other people are going to
Black
put stuff
Magic
out.
would be the last company to stop me because I don't disagree with the NAB thing, but I mean, Black Magic, come on. Would they please release a camera that they – oh, yeah, it's shipping.
That works?
It's shipping. Yeah. Can you ship a working – I love Black Magic. Really nice people there. Ship a camera that works on time, and maybe I'll give you the time of day, period. I mean –
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still dealing with the black sun problem on some of their cameras, right?
Well, I mean, yeah. What about this Ursa? Find an Ursa for me and tell me why this camera has to be so ridiculously big and the battery's got to be so small. I mean, so short in the life. And we've got a camera that's gargantuan, bigger than any other body out there, and literally has a sensor the size of a pea. I mean, come on. So, Mitch.
Love you, Michael.
I love you too, Mitch. Is there any other news we need to know in the DSLR world?
Not that I'm aware of, other than Planet 5D rocks. So come visit us.
Well, we already know that, but definitely go visit Planet 5D, planet5d.com. And by the way, I did notice that people are starting to talk a little bit about the Anthony Cumia show. I've been listening to that and checking it out and watching it a little bit, and I thought that there are some interesting comments with Anthony Cumia regarding Opie and their kind of supposed breakup, which he had been kind about before and now is kind of airing their dirty laundry a little bit. It seems like so. I know that Digital Phil posted that. I'm looking forward to reading and digesting some of that, but I think Adam Holtz will be enamored with that as well. And, of course, these guys, their relationship has to change over the years, especially when their relationship ends the way it did as well. And Anthony's an interesting character. We can talk more about that in the future. I like what Ben has shot on his iPhone 6 Plus. And, some of this other stuff as well. It's great that you guys are watching and paying such close attention. Thank you guys so much for doing that. Thank you for watching. We love you so much. And, Mitch, we love you too. You're awesome. I read Planet 5D every day. Real quick, tell everybody if they want to know about 4K, about everything they need to consider if they're thinking about going 4K, including infrastructure, which I think is the most important thing. Tell them where they can get the book.
The ebook is available at planet5d.com/join right away. It'll be delivered to you within seconds.
All you got to do is put in your email address, right?
That's right.
That's
no
simple.
fee, no charge.
And you
all free, available at planet5d.com.
You can read this whole book. It's really good. A lot of really talented, smart people, much smarter than me, devote chapters to it. And I also devote a chapter to it, which I had a lot of fun doing. And then I think I give a lot of good information about why are you going 4K and know about the infrastructure. Not to beat my own drum, just saying there's a lot of good information in the book in general and a lot of really smart and talented people writing about it. I will say this. I watched a beautiful Pioneer screen this weekend. It looked unbelievable. I went home, and even though I argued with I would never spend that kind of money and I don't need my picture quality to be that good, I went home and watched my Apple TV. Didn't look as good. I kind of longed for that, and then that wore off after like an hour, and I was just happy to be watching. So I will say that there is like that wow factor, and we all are kids in the candy shop. It also was equipped with an amazing home theater, so that is part of it. But Mitch, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to having you on next week. And when's your next webinar before I let you go?
My next webinar is currently scheduled for March, I think, 11th.
Excellent. March 11th. Check out planet5d.com. The biggest, baddest, and best with the most information and all the news and rumors and all the information and reviews. DSLR blog. It's really all about filmmaking. It is planet5d.com. We love Mitch. We love it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Callie Lewis is scheduled to be on tomorrow. So excited about that. By the way, John P. will be rescheduled for next week, I believe. We'll figure it all out, but he couldn't make it. And we understand, so we'll have Callie on tomorrow, excited about that, and then John P. in the future. And we have some more surprise guests later in the week, and then, of course, next week as well. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm so glad Peter Poon is back. We'll talk more video games. We'll talk more about my boots. and all sorts of other great stuff, including this Oculus Rift situation. This is crazy. Can we not get the Oculus Rift working on anything? We're going to have Adam on to explain that at some point as well. All right, Chris Foncino's in studio. Got to thank him. Thank all the crews who worked so hard on this show, and thank you guys so much for watching. On behalf of everyone at BeTerrific, thank you for watching. Be terrific.